What's going on, guys? Your boy Amazing. We're back with another video, and in today's video, guys, me doing the PvP tier list as of February 2024, guys. We're gonna be going over all the characters that have released in the end of January and also coming into the beginning of February here for all the characters. We have a lot to go over, guys. 6 brand new characters, or buffs of an older character, and we're gonna be talking about where they rank on the PvP tier list that I updated from last month. So pretty much what I did is I made sure to match the tier list that I had from last month, and this is what it looks like right now, guys. And we're gonna do some changes. We're gonna talk about it when we get to each of the characters, and we'll talk about like where I would want to put each of them. If you guys enjoy videos like this, man, definitely make sure to like and subscribe. I definitely do appreciate all the support. And with that out of the way, guys, let's actually hop in and go over the first character, being the brand new green Chad King. Alright, guys, so this is the Fairy King Harlequin, or Chad King. This is the green variant that did release at, I think it was like the midway in of January. So let's actually go over what this character is able to do and talk about his kit. So first things first is his passive right here, guys. Fairy King's Protection creates a barrier around allies equal to 300% of the hero's attack for 3 turns at the start of the battle. For each applicable ally participating in the battle, increases those allies' damage dealt by 10%. And if a barrier is created by the hero is removed from an ally, that ally's attack related stats will be increased by 20% for 2 turns, and the applicable allies are going to be the 7 Deadly Sins characteristic, or the Fairy race. Now, for his actual Holy Relic here, guys, this is going to affect his shield that he actually does get from his passive, or the barrier. So increases the hero's damage dealt by 15%. That increases the basic stats of allies protected by the hero's barrier by 15%. So that's actually going to affect this barrier for this king as well, just like it does the blue Chad King. And then for his skills here, guys, his first skill is going to be Prayer of Peace. It's going to be a single target gauge reduction, 250 on the rank 2 with 2 gauge with that kind of variant. I think Terry has this as well from the KOF collab. But yeah, I mean, it's the 250 and 2 gauge on the rank 2 variant. And then for his second skill here, he's going to have Pierce AoE, which is going to be triple the Pierce rate increase when actually using the skill. So 100 to 150 right there, and then 250 as well, guys. And then moving on to his ultimate here. So this is at 2 out of 6. So obviously those will vary for you guys if you're looking at his ult. But for 2 out of 6, remove debuffs from allies and buffs from enemies. And for each buff removed, increase the damage taken by enemies whose buffs were removed by 3% for 1 turn, and then inflict damage equal to 440% of attack on all enemies. And this is at the 2 out of 6 of dupe level. Alright, guys, so now we've gone over green Chad King's kit, where am I actually going to place him on the tier list? Now, in my opinion, I think green Chad King is a character that is going to be on the meta Sins team right now. I do think that we can slot him into the top of the S tier with this this row of characters, because I think if you're now running an LR Escanor backline, you are running pretty much this team right here, but with Merlin backline, right? So we're running like this setup. Right, so you have King, Bond, Melly in the front, and then Merlin backline, so you get the bonus from the passive, right? I think this is probably the main Sins team right now, including the King, but you can still run the variant where it's Merlin, Bond, Melly, and then Escanor backline. I think that still makes a lot of sense, so that's where I'm gonna have King on the tier list right there, guys. And it's mainly because he's super strong in the sense of like the first few turns of the match, he's gonna have that shield up, and then when the team does lose the shield, they're gonna get that attack related up, and he can work going second and going first. So I think because of that, he actually does make it into the S tier, into the top of the meta's strongest characters in PvP. Alright, guys, so now we are on Gamer Shin here, the brand new blue one that came out with the step up banner with LR Gloxinia. Let's actually go over his career and see what he's able to do. So the Guild's Rising Star Gamer Shin, for his passive right here, increases the allies attack related stats by 5% for each human ally participating in the battle, and decrease all enemies defense related stats by 10% for 1 turn at the start of the allies turn. So that's going to be for all content. And then for his Holy Relic here, guys, increases the hero's damage dealt by 50% when attacking debuffed enemies. And then moving on to his single target here, guys, he inflicts charge damage equal to 200% of attack on a single enemy, and this is going to ignore defense straight up. This scales up from 200, 300, and 500% of attack. And then moving on to his second skill right here, guys, it's going to be the Photon Eraser, which is weak point AoE, which is going to be triple damage against debuffed enemies. So you guys can see it goes from 90, 120 to 185% on the AoE right there. And then moving on to his ultimate right here, guys, inflicts shatter damage equal to 420% of attack on all enemies, and shatter is just going to ignore resistance. Alright, guys, so for blue Shin, in my opinion, I actually am going to put him in probably the C tier. I think the thing is with Shin is that I feel like he'll get a lot of use in maybe like Chaos Battle, but like generally speaking, this character is not really going to be used too often, because all he's really doing is giving attack related stats to the team and lowering the enemy's defense related. And honestly, I think, if we're running a character like this, we're gonna run Red Brunhild over Shin, generally speaking, just because she's more like universally used on these like rag Ragnarok and like human variant teams, and she's already in the B tier, right? So I'm gonna give Shin the benefit of the doubt. I think you definitely could use him in lower tier PvP on a full human team. The attack related is pretty nice. The defense related lower on the enemy is pretty good too. But I think that what Brunhild's doing is a little bit better than him, so I think I'll give Brunhild the B, and I think he can definitely go into C tier, where he's underused or power crept and a little bit below average. So we're gonna put Shin in the C tier right there, guys. All right, guys. So moving on to the next character we're gonna be going over in the tier list is gonna be LR Gloxinia. So let's actually hop onto the game here, and we'll discuss what he's able to actually do. So Gloxinia of Repose, this is the LR variant of Green Gloxinia. So let's actually talk about what he does now after LR. So his first skill here is actually gonna have sever single target with the initial bleed that he already had, and it's actually gonna scale from 154 to 31 to 385% of attack, and this is single target, and sever is gonna be triple the crit chance. His second skill here, guys, is gonna be AoE damage just on the rank 1, just straight up damage. It goes up to 132 from 120, I think, and then the scaling is gonna be 132 on the rank 2 and then 198 on the rank 3, while being able to disable attack and buff skills now on the rank 2 and the rank 3 for 1 and 2 turns respectively. And then moving on to his passive right here, guys, increases allies defense related stats by 10% for each surviving ally, and increase allies attack related stats by 10% for each ally that has died, bleeding enemies that have their crit chance decreased by 30% and critical damage by 40. So that's gonna be his passive right there. And then moving on to his holy relic, guys, which he did actually acquire with his him becoming LR, and this can be used with the other Gloxinia, just to bear that in mind. But in PvP, increases the basic stats of fairy allies by 5% for every fairy ally participating in the battle, and increases the fairy allies critical chance by 5% and critical damage by 10 for every debuff applied to the enemies with a limit of 4 times. So this won't be effective in PvE, but the stats of the relic definitely do matter for the character itself. And then moving on to his ultimate right here, guys. For his ultimate, it's going to inflict ruin damage equal to 840% of attack on one enemy, and then decrease all enemies basic stats by 30% for 2 turns. And ruin is going to increase the damage dealt by 30% per debuff on the target, and it's going to remove every single debuff after it drops the ult, but it's going to reapply like the basic stat lower pretty much, so it applies it after the fact. Alright, guys, so where are we going to put LR Gloxinia on the tier list? In my opinion, I think LR Gloxinia is pretty decent, and we can move up the fairy characters in general. I think we could put them in sub meta. I think Gloxinia is a character that you definitely could use if you're going first and as a whale. If you're a whale that goes first in PvP, you're auto winning, right? So because of that, I'm actually gonna put we'll put the team together here actually. So let me find the other fairy characters as well. Jelly King is going to move up to the B tier as well because of this unit. I think Jelly King alongside Green LR Glox is a pretty good combo too. You know, Zelda's here, and then we got to get the Green Elaine. I don't know where I have Green Elaine. She should be in the C tier here, but we're going to find her, and yeah, we're going to take Green Elaine and we're going to put her on this part right here, guys. This is a B tier type team, right? Like they're sub meta average characters, but definitely can work if you go first. I think this team right here can pretty much beat any of these teams above here, but they have to go first, guys. This team has to be on a whale centric team, and it has to go first. But other than that, I mean, it's a capable team and can do it. So that's why I will give it the sub meta. It's not going to be better than any of these teams if you have like an equivalent whale that's facing you. So I don't think I'm going to rank this team above any of these other teams right here. So I think that because of that, we'll give them the B tier right there. But yeah, I mean, generally speaking, like LR Glock's actually not a bad character, and once we do get another strong fairy character to kind of like swap out that Elaine slot, because right now the only DPS on the team really is just King. If we do get another character that can replace Elaine, then this team might actually skyrocket maybe from the B tier into the S tier possibly. You know, it's definitely a possibility, man. We just need one really good fairy, and then maybe like, you know, we swap Festival Zeldris for a better backline, and they could get it going, man. That could be an actual proper team. So there's my ranking for Glox. Guys, let's move on to the next character. Let's actually hop in, guys, and talk about the characters right here. So first character we're going to go over is going to be Yori Zahard, and then we'll go to Data Zahard and then Bomb. So Yori right here, for her passive, guys, is going to increase the basic stats of human allies by 5% for each human ally participating in the battle if the hero uses a skill, or if a human ally takes damage from a skill during the enemy's turn, that enemy is afflicted with the Rose Shinsu for 4 turns. And if a hero uses a skill on an enemy at the max Rose Shinsu stacks, the enemy is afflicted with the all target skill disable for 1 turn. And the Roshinsu debuff, guys, is going to be 10% damage dealt lower on the enemy, stacking up to 3 times. Moving on to Yori's Holy Relic here, guys, increases allies' critical resistance and critical defense by 30%, and this is all content, just like her passive as well, guys. I forgot to mention, but all content across both of them. And then moving on to her skills here, guys, for her single target, she's gonna have cancel stance single target, scaling from the 180, 300, and the 500, including the rank 1 it has cancel stance. And then moving on to her AoE skill, she's gonna do 140% of attack on her rank 1, 140% of attack and buff removal, and then cancel buffs and stances, and 210% on the rank 3. And then moving on to her ultimate right here, guys, applies 2 Roshinsu effects on 1 enemy for 4 turns, then inflicts cleave damage, which does not activate critical damage, equal to 600% of attack at the 3 out of 6 mark. So obviously this will definitely change for you guys, but the additional damage is going to be equal to 75% of the critical damage minus 100%. Alright guys, so where are we going to be ranking Yori Jihad on the tier list? Now, in my opinion, I actually think we could rank Yori Jihad alongside the A tier human characters. I think because we moved the human characters down to the A tier where they're in the meta, and I think you definitely can use them. I think because of Yori, actually, they get a little bit more viability, but they're not on the level of the other teams up here. And we actually do have to do some changes here as well, guys. We're gonna move the unknown team down a tier and actually put them here. And my main reason for that is because the unknown team right now has kind of fallen off a little bit, guys. Like, you can use them still, but I think that the human team actually is a little bit better than unknown team right now. So if I had to like rank it, pretty much I would put like these two. So like it would be like human team and then unknown, and then we have demons, goddess, then sins. That's pretty much my ranking personally. Like, that's what I'm gonna give for like the top teams in the game. So sins number 1, goddess number 2, or arguable number 1, and then demons. So that's why I put Demon King NS Rosa here. And then we have some of the other older meta demon characters which you can run as well in the A tier, and then the other characters right here. But I think Yori being on humans, guys, is very, very strong. She's a really good character. She gives the basic stats to the team, the damage dealt lower on the enemy, the AoE seal working on Margaret buff card is very, very strong too. Like, you know, even against like goddess teams and stuff like that, I think Yori does provide a lot. And once we do get another festival like human character, Chaos Arthur, you know, maybe end of the month, we'll see. If we get a character like that, that could definitely make this team go all the way up into the S tier like that, right? We could see this as being like, you know, a team in the S tier soon, guys. But I think of right now, I will actually just leave them in the A tier. I think that they are definitely a team that can win in the meta, and you can definitely win going first with this team. And yeah, I think it's kind of the situation with the fairy team, kind of, where like they will win going first, but you know, I think they're more meta. I think you can use them against a lot of other teams. I think they do well against goddesses. They do pretty decent against sins. You just have to make sure this team is going first, and they can pretty much win most of the matches though, regardless. So that's why I'm going to give Yori the A tier right there, guys. And we actually did have to move down the unknown team a little bit as well. So the unknown team is going to be in the A tier. Alright guys, so moving on to the next character here, we have Data Zahard. So let's actually pull up the game here and talk about his kit and what he's able to do. So I don't actually have his Holy Relic yet, guys, but for his Holy Relic, pretty much what it does is it's going to be a cleanse whenever he does get his effect on his passive. And we'll talk about his passive. So hopping into his passive here, applies a mark of stability on the hero for 1 turn at the start of the battle. And when this effect is removed, the hero gains the Power of Shinsu effect for 1 turn. And when the Power of Shinsu effect is removed, the hero gains King's Decision effect for 5 turns. And in addition, the hero's basic stats increase by 7% for each unknown race ally participating in the battle. Now, market stability is going to be unknown race allies damage taken minus 30. Power of Shinsu is going to be HP does not fall below 1, and you ignore the target's critical resistance and critical defense when using single target attack skills. And then for King's Decision, it's going to increase the critical damage by 1 for every 1% of HP diminished, and increases the critical chance by 100% when all target attacks are used, and it increases the damage dealt by skill rank. Depending on the rank, it's going to be 30, 60, and 120. And so the way his passive actually does affect or is affected by the Holy Relic, guys, is that whenever he's applying the next buff, pretty much, he's going to cleanse all the debuffs on himself. So that's pretty much his Holy Relic, and you know, how it equates to his passive. And then moving on to his skills here, guys, his first skill here is going to be Golden Needle of Mystery Island, which is going to inflict light spear damage equal to 150% of attack on 1 enemy. And light spear is going to be triple the pierce rate increase, and the hero's attack is going to get 40% increase when using a skill, and it's going to go from 150, 250 to 450. And then moving on to his second skill here, guys, it's going to be inflicting spike damage equal to 100% of attack on all enemies. And spike is going to be double the crit damage increase, scaling from 100 to 150 to 250% of attack. And then moving on to his ultimate here, guys, it's going to be in at 2 out of 6, increases the hero's critical damage by 70% for 2 turns, and it inflicts sever damage equal to 340% of attack on all enemies, and then applies immortality on the hero for 1 turn. And the sever is going to be triple the crit chance increase, whereas immortality is going to give HP does not fall below 1. Alright guys, so for Data Zahard, we're going to put him on the tier list in the B tier. I'm gonna give Data Zahard the B tier, and the reason for this, guys, is because I don't think he's gonna be a character that you're gonna be using over the other unknown like options, right? So right now we actually did move the main unknown team down to A tier, and we had other options in this tier as well, like Ainz, Echidna, you know, Green Freya, Ghislaine. And the thing is with Data Zahard is that he requires Red Gowther. Red Gowther and Data Zahard need to be used together for Data to hit super hard. And because we have Red Gowther in the B tier as a character being used, the fact that we need this character to use this character and for them to do like pretty decent, it's not like anything crazy, but decently well, I'm gonna give him the B tier. I think, you know, he's kind of on the level of like the fairy team right now with this type of unknown variant. Like if you run Data Zahard, Red Gowther, you know, Nanashi backline, maybe even like Tyr in the front, right, or even like Albedo, like it can be a pretty good team. And I think with that setup, it could be pretty nice, and you can get a ton of damage out of Data Zahard, but you're not going to be beating any of these other meta teams up here, guys, generally speaking, right? Like this team definitely can do it going first. You know, if you get the rank up off, you know, Data gets that single target on the turn 2, you know, on the turn 3 when he's doing the AoEs, he's going to do a ton of damage. So I think overall, like, he is definitely worthwhile to be in this B tier, you know, kind of area. I think he does fit alongside kind of the like the fairy team in terms of like where I would value how strong he is right now in the meta game. So yeah, Data Zahard right there, guys, is going to be in the B tier right there, guys. So there is my ranking. Alrighty guys, now moving on to the final character here on the tier list we need to rank, and that is going to be Bomb or Jouer Viol Grace. And we're going to be ranking where he's actually capable of. Let's talk about his kit. So his passive right here, guys, is going to be the Burden 1. So in PvE, applies the Power of Thorn on the hero for 2 turns at the start of the battle, and when the Power of Thorn is removed, it removes all debuffs from allies and increases the hero's skill ranks. In addition, when Power of Thorn is removed, it increases the allies' basic stats by 20% once. The Power of Thorn is going to be increasing allies' damage dealt by 20%, and then also giving them 20% damage reduction as well. And one thing to note, guys, is that this does not include Demonic Beast Battle or PvP. This is only able to be used in general PvE content. Moving on to his Holy Relic here, guys, increases allies' stat-related buffs by half of their values in PvE, excluding Extort. And this is again going to be the exact same thing as his passive, where it excludes Demonic Beast Battle and is not available in PvP. Alright guys, now moving on to his skills here. His first skill is going to decrease defense-related stats of one enemy by 20% for 2 turns and inflict damage equal to 200% of attack, and this is going to scale up to 30% on the rank 2 and then 250 on the attack, and then 40% and 300% of attack as well. And then moving on to his buff card here, guys, he's going to increase the basic stats of one ally by 20% for 2 turns, and then it's going to be all allies for 20%, and then it's going to be 30% removing debuffs from all allies and granting debuff immunity. So they're pretty much the same as, like, you know, Red Arthur or like Kizuna, if you guys remember those characters. And then moving on to his ultimate here, guys, inflicts sever damage equal to 6. So at 2 out of 6, inflicts sever damage equal to 693% of attack on one enemy, and then applies Power Thorn on the hero for 2 turns, and it's going to be a sever effect of triple the you know, crit chance increase on the actual you know, the ultimate itself. All right guys, so finally we got Bomb right here. Now where are we going to be ranking Bomb on the tier list? As you guys know, he is a PvE unit, and so we actually are going to put him in the not viable in PvP tier, and this is because his passive is completely centered around you know, PvE, guys. We're not going to be able to use Bomb in PvP, maybe in like Chaos Battle, but even then I'm not going to argue that, because like his whole passive is like literally relegated to PvE. You can't use him in PvP for much of a benefit, really. So I'm going to give him the D tier at the bottom as well. And yeah guys, that's pretty much the ranking as of this month right here. We'll see if anything changes next month, but I think right now the best team in the game is going to be this Sins team right here, and then we do have the Gods team number 2, and then Demon variants as number 3, and then after that we do have like Humans and Unknowns. I think Humans are a little bit stronger than Unknown right now in the meta, but I think that's kind of where it is. And then you have these like sub-meta teams like the Fairy team and the Data Zahard Unknown team, so there are obviously other options like that, but that is going to be my ranking there, guys, for the PvP tier list. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys found this video helpful. Like and subscribe as always, guys, and with that out of the way, we're going to see you guys on the next video, man. Peace out and have a great rest of your day, guys. See you later, man.